So we come to the next chapter of what will happen to Kiichi when he accidentally knocks over the bikes and the teenager boys were ready to beat him until Shion and villagers of Hinamizawa comes into play. Aloha! Welcome to Cyntillating Reviews, and today we will be reviewing episode 6 of Higurashi When They Cry 2020. This episode was kind of an okay episode. Now we're starting to get a little of a repeat on what happened during the last arc, but it's kind of nice though. Like I said, it's nice for newcomers that have no clue what's going on during Higurashi, and it's kind of a nice refresher, but this is one of the problems that I have had with Higurashi. But again, I have to say, okay, I kind of see why we're doing this. It's because, you know, we're going back in a few days' time, we're repeating history, and nobody has a clue of what's going on. Nobody remembers what happened 3 days ago, or what happened 3 days before these murders. This episode will be in the style of a podcast, so if you want to minimize my videos while listening to me while doing something else, that is totally fine. I won't be offended. Be forewarned that a spoiler alert is now in effect. Just when things started to get out of hand, the police detective Oyashiro appears, and Shion is just pretty much kind of telling him that these teenage guys, they were driving a ruckus with Kiichi, and Shion just returns herself back to normal as the police detective and a couple of other cops arrested the boys. Shion just kind of like acts politely, and she thanks the police detective for coming in and doing their job. And when they drive away, you can see like this disgust look on Shion. Like she just pulled a fake smile. She just pulled a fake act from them. It's like, okay, well, what's going on here? Feeling bad for what happened to Kiichi, Shion told her boss everything that's going on, and he says that she should treat him, which in a way it's kind of fair because he was being threatened by the teenage boys. And pretty much in a nutshell, Shion says, yeah, it's nice that all the villagers from Hinamizawa come in to kind of watch everybody's back. It's, in a way, the idea of if you threaten one of us, you're going to threaten all of us. And the next part is kind of where we're having that repeat of we're learning about the dam project from Hinamizawa, and if it was constructed, it would flood the villages and Hinamizawa and possibly the villagers that are living there. It was sent to court for injunction, and it was indefinitely put on hold, so that is kind of like a victory for Hinamizawa and the villagers. Sometime later, Kiichi gets a phone call from Shion, who he thought it was Mion, and she asked him if he could come to the restaurant to do a taste testing for desserts. Kiichi's all up for it, but when you see Shion on the other line, you can kind of see that grimness on her face. Like, okay, well, here we go again. Here's where the creep factor is going to start coming into play. June 16th, Kiichi comes in and he's taste testing all these different desserts, and it seems harmless, and from what it seems like, he was able to walk away scotch-free with not getting sick or anything like that, so it's pretty settled. When Kiichi was talking to another of the waitresses, he sees that Shion is just getting harassed by one of the customers, saying, you know, she's sorry she accidentally spilled the dessert on him in a very private part where he just, you know, the poor waitress that was talking to Kiichi, she goes, well, he was the one that stuck his leg out in front of her making her trip, but we have to do whatever we can to make the customers happy. Kiichi, of course, he can't stand for it. He comes and he tries to save the day, but he ends up getting the crap kicked out of him. But Shion does appreciate Kiichi of what he was trying to do to protect her. After the whole incident, Kiichi was waiting for Shion to finish with her shift. We just pretty much get like a small scene of her reintroducing herself again, and she says that Shion and her twin sister Mion don't really sit well with each other, and there's some things that she don't like about Mion. Kiichi says, well, let me make it up to you for what happened. And there's a very similar doll from the previous episode sitting on the shelf of the shop. she says, I want this doll. So Kiichi goes in the store and he says, excuse me, I want the doll that's sitting on the shelf. Lo and behold, walking out to greet Kiichi is Mion. And Mion's just kind of having like a little freak panic attack on why Kiichi was there. And Shion's like, well, I kind of had to show you. Kind of had to show you that I'm the twin sister. And I was the one that brought the bento boxes to you. And Mion whispers to her, no, I was the one that did it. Why are you doing this? It was just a cute, funny little scene between the two sisters, and Kiichi, I think his mind was just blown a little bit. During that time, and I think we talked about this in the original series too, where he thought Shion was actually Mion, she's just playing the act of a different person, and she's just being somebody that she doesn't want to show herself in front of others, but she only wants to show it in front of Kiichi. Well, that's not the case. They're twin sisters. Fast forward to June 18th, we are preparing for the Cotton Drifting Festival, and this is where everybody meets Tomitake, who is the photographer from the previous arc, and we get a formal introduction of Takano, who works at the medical clinic. Tomitake, Takano, Shion, Mion, and Kiichi were all right by the shrine, just talking a little about the Cotton Drifting Festival, and they also brought up again the Hinamizawa Dam project as well. And legends, and they say that all the meetings about the project was taking place at the base of the shrine of Oyashiro, and they pray for Oyashiro for Hinamizawa's victory for, I believe it's the government or the bigger cities to not build this dam. And of course victory was made to Hinamizawa, but at a price. The construction manager was killed, his body parts were chopped up into different pieces, and they brought up again the couple that fell from the cliff, the priest that was ill, the similar stories that we talked about in the previous arc. And this is where Takano says, well, there's proof that all of this happens. Every year and every night where there's the Cotton Drifting Festival, one person always dies and one person always disappears. And it's kind of clicking in Kiichi's head where by disappearing they are the human sacrifice to calm like the wrath of Oyashiro. Mion's there and she's just kind of like not into the whole like idea. She wants to leave while the story is taking place, so we'll kind of get a little bit more idea about that later. June 19th, it's now the Cotton Drifting Festival. Shion pulls Kiichi away and they see Tomitake and Takano ready to break into the shrine. The couple comes up to the teenagers and they pretty much said in a nutshell, like, can you please tell us that you're not going to tell anybody that we're trying to break into the shrine? They said that they're not going to steal anything, but they want to see exactly what's inside the storehouse. Shion was talking to Kiichi, and Kiichi says, well, fine, if you really want me to, I'll take a peek inside. I'll take a peek inside the shrine of Oyashiro. And that's kind of where the episode ends off. It was an okay episode. It really wasn't like so engaged and so interactive. I can see where we have a little bit of engagement, especially now that we're meeting the twins in front of our eyes and it's not Mion making up the fact that she's Shion and so on and so forth. So the idea that they are going into the storeroom was similar to the last series where Kiichi was ready to go into the storeroom, and I think nothing occurred. I can't recall, but I don't think anything occurred. It was just exactly what it was. It was just a storeroom. Nothing really happened. But I don't know if it's going to be the same again. We'll kind of see. I mean, the whole gathering of the Hinamizawa villagers was totally new. I don't recall that ever happening in the original series. So that was kind of a nice little idea that in a small town like Hinamizawa, you know you gotta watch what you say and you do, because there are people that have eyes all over you. It was okay. It didn't give me the whole creep factor, but once next week's episode comes, that's where the creep factor is going to come in. So thank you guys so much for taking a listen at my review and a little bit of a summary of episode 6 of Higurashi When They Cry. What do you think about this episode? Let me know in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe to Cyntillating Reviews, help me make it grow. I want to see something come out of this. If you want to be notified for personal videos or all my content, make sure you click that bell down below. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys in another day. And Higurashi fans, we will see you guys next week for the new episode. Our simplest prevention is our biggest protection. Take care of yourselves and others as you practice social distancing, washing hands, and staying at home. Let's get better by starting to make our world better to reduce the spread of COVID-19. See you later on another day.